Is everybody excited? Yes. You are the nation's best education innovators. Let's celebrate. Come on. On our first panel today, we will be talking about how these innovators are using macro, micro, and digital learning approaches to transform teaching and learning for the future of work and ensure that our kids are getting the best education. Traditionally, technology has gotten into the hands of the haves first, and years later, if it ever does, it eventually gets to the have-nots. What strikes me about you as a group is you're all working to increase accessibility and equity in education through the use of technology. So the first question I have for you all is, how are each of you transforming the future of teaching and learning? And I want to start with Amy.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. Thank you, Taylor, and thank you, Janine. Gosh, I think so many of us are thinking about this on a daily basis, but I'd say how we're at ASU Prep Global, where I get a chance to represent increasing access and transforming teaching and learning, is about smaller learning environments with unbundled assets to have more deeply personalized opportunities for students. Allowing kids to have access the minute they need it instead of waiting for them on the conveyor belt of a tight structure to get to the place where they're allowed to by grade or by whatever that said rule is within school. So it's kind of blowing up the structure. One of the things I would note is I think some of the innovations that come out are at the top, and what we're really trying to do, meaning in whatever school format, structure, district, we're really trying to get the innovations to the student, and in order to do that, we have to keep the best talent closest to the student and have every one of these said assets kind of orbiting around the child, as opposed to these blocks, these gates that we keep seeing when some of these innovations come out with rules at the top. So creating micro schools, micro learning environments where kids have access to the best teaching talent that become more like coaches and Sherpas, and as opposed to being the gatekeepers of knowledge, and giving the access to the students so that they can run, as opposed to being on this kind of slow walk that we often have within education, and allowing them to sprint and run through walls.
So what impact have you seen on student engagement with your approach?
When you put kids in the driver's seat, they light up in new ways. So I think when the expectation for us to have, in the box, standard approaches for a classroom of 35 kids, as opposed to projects that they create, that they generate, the engagement it's 180 degree difference. They light up. When you're attaching what their interests are to college and career, when the classroom is modern, even aesthetically, when it's something that they enjoy, an environment that both represents their, we're the alpha generation who we're raising up is, it needs to look different, feel different. So when we're designing these small models, because it's thousands and thousands of small models where kids are not floating around anonymously. We want them to be autonomous. Then we give them the assets that they need. They have the access, they're in the driver's seat, and then they light up.
That's amazing, thank you. Erika, I'm gonna go to you. Talk about how you're transforming the future of teaching and learning.
Well, at Optima Academy Online, as the world's first virtual reality school, we are transforming it in a number of ways. The first way is just going beyond the four walls of the classroom, the four walls of someone's home if they're schooling from home, and providing access to the highest quality teachers from all over the country to students no matter where they are, and doing that tuition free. So we've created a program where not only are we using 3 dimensions to bring a true classroom experience, a social distance learning experience to students no matter where they live, no matter their zip code or their income. We've also, on the backside of that, kind of hacked the government funding as much as possible to allow those families to access this program, which we believe is the highest quality of curriculum, providing knowledge and virtue and a rigorous accredited curriculum. They can access that tuition free with our help through charters, through ESAs, and other forms of government funding that are now coming out. So we're following what governments are doing and as far as policy coming through and targeting the ways that we can provide access to the highest number of students and give them that virtual reality experience. So not only can they experience a classroom environment with other students and other teachers from all over the country, they can also experience a classroom in ancient Rome or on the moon through the virtual reality experience. The other key part is what we're doing for teachers. We are really leading the country in professional development in 3 dimensions and in the era of spatial computing. We're training teachers in traditional classrooms on how to use virtual reality in their classrooms on top of whatever curriculum that they're using, as well as we are able to hire the best teachers who want to teach virtually. We have about 100 applications for every one spot that we have. And that allows teachers the flexibility to teach in VR. We're training them to do so, and also provides that high quality talent to places that otherwise would not have access to that quality of teacher.
That's amazing. I had a follow-up question for you, but you already nailed it. So
Thank you.
We're going to go to Steve. Talk to us about how you're also using VR to transform what learning looks like.
Thank you, Taylor. VictoryXR is that place where online learning intersects with hands-on learning. So think about that. If you have a chemistry lab, you can't do that through Zoom, but through the power of virtual reality in our platform, students can pick up a test tube. They can handle expensive chemicals, and if they drop it and break it, or maybe they blow something up, we just start over, no problem. And the value of that really is that if you build your own advanced chemistry lab, it might cost $300,000 or more. But with this solution, $15,000, just a small fraction of the cost, which makes it available now to students and schools everywhere.
That's great. Dr. Griffin?
Yes. I have to start with Taylor first. That's a great question. And I have to start with what we're not doing at Leaders to Legends. What we are not doing, and not a part of our learning platform with teaching and learning, is testing students with technology. That's one thing that for many years, being in education over 3 decades now, I have seen technology used in the inappropriate formats. And so I had to start the answer with what we're not doing. But what we are doing with technology, we actually are in a marginalized community, is where Leaders to Legends is based. Part-time we're on site, other times children are in their home, all in the same community. In that community, the infrastructure is not the greatest, and so technology continues to be something that we would love to see. I will say, looking at STEMuli Ed and the metaverse and what it has to offer, oh my goodness, I couldn't do anything but dream seeing that, so thank you for offering that to the many students that you do as well. We do use technology as hands-on, as you were sharing. Everything that we do, technology has to be a use. For example, our high school students, our teens, who would pick up their phones and they knew it traditionally as a social thing, that I just used my phone to socialize. It is now turned into, this is a research tool. This is a way to make money. This is a way to, and that's because it's being modeled for them, and that is a part of our curriculum at Leaders to Legends.
That's phenomenal. All right, Mindy.
At OnYourMark, we teach children how to read. That doesn't sound super innovative, right? That's something our schools are supposed to have been doing for decades now, ever since the inception of public school in this country. Yet we find ourselves in a position where only 1/3 of students across the country are reading on grade level by the pivotal year of 3rd grade, which matters tremendously for their life outcomes. So what we're doing at OnYourMark is we are supporting schools in their quest to be able to teach children to read by connecting our tutors virtually to kids in their classrooms. I have a background as an educator, principal, and in teacher prep, and we have put so much pressure on a single teacher in a classroom of 25 to 30 kids to be able to meet the needs of all those individual students, and it hasn't been working that way. And so we train our tutors to be able to make sure they are meeting a child right where they are and that they are able to deliver them the reading lessons that they need in order to accelerate their early reading journeys. And that's how we're innovating right now.
Excellent. So I want to transition to talk about the program that you guys just went through, the accelerator and the community that you've built. So when I went through the accelerator, I had no idea what a micro school was. And I soon and quickly thereafter learned. I want to know from you all, what is the biggest aha moment you've had since joining the Yass Prize community, and how are you going to use that aha moment to transform your work? Let's start with Steve.
Well, thanks for that, Taylor. I would say I felt like I came into this knowing a lot about education because of my background as chair of the education committee in the legislature. So I met and talked with a lot of people in the education industry. But what I learned here is that there are so many different approaches that can work, that they just need one ingredient, and that is the freedom and the resources to actually give it a try. And in every other facet of American culture, that's largely what happens, but that's not what has happened in education. And so to me, I've just been listening to the stories of the various participants. I just shake my head and say, this is finally what we needed and what I worked for many years ago, and now we're seeing it actually happen.
Great. Mindy, I'm going to throw the question to you.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, you just made me think about looking out in this group of these amazing colleagues that I've had a chance to meet and collaborate with over the last couple months, and I have just really been inspired by how there is power in collective work. And that when we are all here from different angles to really address the same problems together is when we're going to really be able to move the needle for kids, not when we are all working in an isolated fashion out on islands. So I'm really excited to be able to take that away with me from this experience.
Great. Erika?
I completely agree with Mindy on that. And what I was struck by, because in our company, we've always known we wanted to scale. We know that our mission is to make this available to as many families as possible, and a lot of our decision making has been towards that. And you look at all these amazing programs from Cleveland to Miami, and some of them are very personalized. But with just some problem solving and some tweaking, some thought processes, they are able to figure out a way to scale some really creative and personalized education experiences. And so I've just learned to think of things a little bit differently. Scalability, we kind of think in a certain way, but I love what the Yasses have done in bringing the experts in to help all types of programs that seem very local and very specific to think about ways that they can actually replicate the amazing work that they're doing in other communities.
Excellent. Dr. Griffin?
Yes, I will say coming into, as a part of the virtual accelerator for Yass Prize, the social networking, I felt pretty good about that. The technology, it really opened my eyes to what technology can really do in education. The efficiency that can take place with technology, and so I'm really looking forward to tapping into more of that. And I do, but there's a balance. I also, in the back of my mind, always have Roger Love saying, oh my goodness, there's a balance. They have to have the people skills to be able to interact and push things forward as we change the world in education.
Great. Amy?
So I think less than an aha, more of just feeling this rejuvenated excitement that I have personally about education and being in a room with others that are energized like this. And even though there's a bunch of us, we really are unique and there's not enough of us. And so the opportunity to be in this platform, it's insane. I mean, it's a quiet revolution that needs more noise, and we're getting it because of our leaders and because of the funding. And to be around this type of energy, and all of us are doing something different and unique and contextual for our communities. Increasing access with keeping the same ridiculously high expectations, but in unique programmatic ways. And to be in a room and to listen to what each of our competitors, colleagues, friends, collaborators are doing, I go back as an operator. And I feel like I'm happy about the future. Like, for this type of environment to begin to get this type of momentum is powerful. And at ASU Prep Global, we're trying to empower parents and entrepreneurs to start fellowships of microschools and help give them the assets that they need. And there's been 2 different times where schools have reached out to us because of this and said, I don't know exactly what you're doing, but I know you're part of this Yass Prize, and we want access to that. And so what a powerful thing that is, and I get to smile at my colleagues and friends for what they're doing in a very unique way, so it gets me all jazzed up.
Great. So we've got a few minutes left, and I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to leave us with some last words. So I'm going to categorize it. You can either give a shout out and some love to your fellow community members. You can talk about the next big thing in education and where you're predicting and we'll go with technology. Or you can leave us with some tidbits on how school districts can ensure, or schools can ensure that kids are getting equitable access to technology. So you got 3 options. We're going to start down with you, Mindy, and work our way this way.
Well, that was a zinger at the end. To just,
Yeah, it is.
That's cool off the top of my head. My background is in schools. It's in classrooms. It's as a principal. And to be able to reconnect with folks who are doing the hard work day to day of running schools and continually innovating to try to do what's best for your kids is incredibly inspirational. So I can't name everybody who is represented in that space in this room, but just know you all have left me inspired to build a better program that is going to be flexible to meet the needs of schools like yours as well. So thank you so much to all the folks who are really on the front lines working with kids and schools on the day-to-day.
Thank you. Dr. Griffin?
I say to all those that are watching, nobody said it would be easy. However, if things are not working for your child, it is your God-given authority to do something about it. And you have plenty of people in this room and space across the country who are supporting you and doing that. So do something about it.
Great.
You know, 120 years ago, there was a moment when innovation in automobile creation was taking over, and it had its moment. Then came aviation, and then came computers and chips and the internet. This is our moment. This is the moment for innovation in education. You know, a lot of us have been doing this for a lot of years, and there was dramatically more resistance from the established institutions. And while that resistance still exists, we finally have hit that moment when you can innovate and find acceptance and find the resources. And so my encouragement, not just to the people in the room who are already innovating, but to anybody that hears this or is watching, take your chance, take your moment, because this is it.
Great.
I'm going to take 2 a little bit combined, because I really don't think that there's much that the monopoly can do to fix itself and to provide the quality and the access that our children deserve. The only thing that can truly do that, and it's been talked about many times in this program, is a free market in education, where parents are free to access the education that they think is going to work best for their children, permissionless, if you will, in a permissionless way. And districts cannot break themselves of being a monopoly. Policy has to do that. We're seeing that occur so that families can access really excellent options like what has been represented here. And I hate to even just pick some out, because I could go down the list of all 33 and tell you what I love about that. But let's look at Burbella, the micro schools that are using empty mall space and Foot Lockers that are, you know, they're going to fall. And I love what she said in her pitch. I'm taking over the whole mall soon. I won't forget that. And Comp Sci High, which I had never heard anyone talk about the end goal of economic freedom and working backwards from that. We all should be in that mindset. So that was extremely inspiring to me. And OnYourMark tutoring, I thought was excellent. You see so much tutoring out there for the older grades when it's frankly too little too late. We get 6th graders who can't read, and we are trying to remediate them. So the fact that they're focused on those lower grades and the reading, parents should be able to access that option as well when things are not working out in those early grades. So I'm really pitching for that freedom and the ability to access all of these options for parents through policy, not necessarily through the existing system.
Excellent.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that we are really in a renaissance of opportunity. You know, the advent of AI is, you know, messing us all up in a good way. And I think all of us have gotten here because we are the type that ask for forgiveness instead of permission often. And if it's in the name of a student, and if the student is always at the center of every decision that we make, it's for good. And so that's when I look around at these models, and we stay student-centered, and it can be everything from just tutoring to professional development to some pretty crazy technology that who thought this was going to be in the hands of a 2nd grader. This is the type of collaborative group that is starting a national movement, an international movement that I'm proud to be a part of. And we're thinking about it in a way that kind of coalesces the modern technology that's emerging so quickly on behalf of our kids. I think we, as the adults, kind of have to be a bit of the shield, the translators, so that we can, technology for good, principled innovation. And so as I have been, the privilege of being a part of this accelerator is watching those innovators do it with principle and in the name of students. And so that's all kind of goes back to that quiet revolution where we just keep getting louder.
So our panel is pretty much over, but I want you guys to know that you are valued, you're seen, and your work is not small. It's significant. Thank you.